Seeking Wisdom, Week 31, The Vanity of Vanities, the Book of Ecclesiastes. This book is called Ecclesiastes because the Greek word means the church, while the Hebrew version is called the Qoheleth, which translated means teacher. Qoheleth also means the one who talks to the congregation. The author lived around 300 to 200 BCE and was a professor whose work was considered a philosopher's reflection on life with his own insights and experiences. Based on studies of the educational background of that time, researchers have come to the conclusion that the author studied and prospered in Jerusalem, finally becoming a teacher there. In fact, according to chapter 12, verses 9 to 12, it shows that Qoheleth is an intellectual that had come to live in a scholarly environment. Some may ask why Qoheleth always referred to God while teaching in a social environment. The answer to that is simple. Just look at the schools in Europe a few centuries ago, or even further back in ancient times, and the division of two aspects of life. Social and religious were not always as clear as they are today. So if this happens to be the case, the students at the time were probably looking for wisdom from a teacher they could trust. These students that were looking for knowledge would have been the group or community that Qoheleth had gathered and called upon to impart his wisdom. As for the structure of the book, there is no clear outline and can generally be divided into 4 parts. The first part, that covers chapter 1 to chapter 3, discusses reflections on life, such as the pursuit of goals to ultimately realize frustration. The middle part includes chapter 3 up to chapter 11, which is notes on many different topics and includes many mottos. The final part that contains chapter 11 up to chapter 12 brings a new outlook. This is where the author is encouraging young people to live happily while they can, because no one knows what the future holds. What does our future hold? No one knows the answer to this. But isn't this the question always burning deep in our hearts and souls? And chapter 12, also known as a conclusion. There may be many ways to interpret this book with many conflicting opinions. Many people believe that Qoheleth is a materialistic man. He has been quoted as saying, "Man is nothing more than an animal, and both share the same fate. For him, the importance is that makes you happier than enjoying pleasure and living comfortably." Some also believe that Qoheleth is deterministic, meaning that their fate is determined by outside forces. And if this is the case, your fate has been predetermined. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted, as shown in chapter 1, verse 15 and chapter 7, verse 13. Skepticism is also a trait often associated with Qoheleth. He often repeats the phrase, "Man cannot know." Yet others think that Qoheleth is hedonistic, or in search of pleasure. This is quite clear when you read that, like a broken record, he repeats over and over to his students, "Eat, drink, enjoy yourself." However, if you look past all the negative points made about Qoheleth and carefully considered what is being taught in Ecclesiastes, you find a profound reality about the human condition and a complete faith in God. At the same time, you get the feeling that the author is a very strong person that dares to speak out, do and think things others wouldn't dare, and forge a path for himself that many would not follow. This is one of the main reasons that people were suspicious of him and condemned him. He was not the type of person to simply believe what others thought, even in regards to the traditional belief in a God of the chosen people. Qoheleth believed in God, who created and cared for all things, but often questioned what was said. It was this deep faith that led him on a journey to find the meaning of life, with honesty, without hiding, and without fear. Because for him, the most important thing was truth. The truth about life, not the truth of logic. And few people can recognize what the truth is. The book of Ecclesiastes has a very unique feature found nowhere else in the Bible. It shows how Qoheleth used it as a teaching tool to teach his students to seek wisdom that is needed in everyday life without putting too much emphasis on the religious aspect. However, the originality of this book lies in the conclusions drawn from the content, which are somewhat different from the traditional thinking of other books in the Bible. What can we learn from the book of Ecclesiastes? We do know that young Qoheleth seems to have high expectations for justice and integrity, but things he sees in life disappoints him. I saw under the star that in the place of justice wickedness was there, and in the place of righteousness wickedness was there as well. Worse yet, he sees that people of higher regard are often worse. If you see in a province the oppression of the poor and the violation of justice and right, do not be amazed at the matter, for the high official is watched by a higher, and there are yet higher ones over them. Qoheleth sees injustice in society, but he is not a prophet that could denounce those doing wrong. In contrast, he seems to compromise to live. As they came from their mother's womb, so they shall go again, naked as they came. They shall take nothing for their toil, which they may carry away with their hands. This also is a grievous ill. Just as they came, so shall they go, and what gain do they have from toiling for the wind? However, after some time, he realized the truth about his perception of the human condition. When I applied my mind to know wisdom and to see the business that is done on earth, how one's eyes see sleep neither day nor night, then I saw all the work of God, that no one can find out what is happening under the sun. However much they may toil in seeking, they will not find it out, even though those who are wise claim to know. They cannot find it out. Compared with the book of Job, Ecclesiastes is written in a very different manner. Job strives to live a good life, according to traditional teachings, and should be rewarded with a life of prosperity and a good family and friends. But quite the opposite is true, making him ask why. Whereas Qoheleth suffered a different fate. He achieves everything most people dream of, but eventually he discovers all is vanity. Life goes on. We still have life and death, war and peace, love and hatred. The cycle is inevitable. So what is behind these lessons? The fundamental problem is that we believe there has to be a meaning behind these lessons, but we cannot find the meaning. What gain have the workers from their toil? I have seen the business that God has given to everyone to be busy with. He has made everything suitable for its time. Moreover, He has put a sense of past and future into their minds. Yet they cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. This does not mean that we should not live our lives to the fullest, because all the living has hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. So go eat your bread with enjoyment and drink your wine with a merry heart. For God has long ago approved what you do. Let your garments always be white. Do not let oil be lacking on your head. And when all is said and done, with pessimism the author tells us, and dust returns to earth when mankind gives back to God the breath he gave him. It was a blemish. All things are messy, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the breath returns to God who gave it. Vanity of Vanities, says the teacher. All is vanity. Sprinkled throughout the book, some statements appear many times, often in different ways, but with the same meaning to show his various reflections on life. Some of the quotes are, "All is vanity and a chasing after wind. Come now, I will make a test of pleasure. Enjoy yourself." But again, this also is vanity. This also is vanity and a great evil. This also is vanity and an unhappy business. Or, this is vanity. It is a grievous ill. These quotes describe one truth and shows man the consequences of his actions. So ask yourself this: what do you truly want? Is that really what you want? Be honest. So now think about things the way Qoheleth did. Is what you want a vanity? If yes, then there is nothing left to say. Is what you want built on a strong foundation of faith in a good and caring God? Just remember, no matter how bad things are in this life, we still have the everlasting life to come. If this is truly the case, Vanity of Vanities at first seems to be a negative thought. But actually, it leads us to a belief and living hope that needs to be illuminated by Christ, the Son of God who shares our human nature. Do you know the story of Alexander the Great? Well, he was an invincible force that defeated the mighty Persian Empire and built the legendary Greek Empire. He was born a military genius and in just 13 short years built an empire that stretched from Europe to Asia, which included all of the major civilized centers of the ancient world. On the day that Alexander had finally conquered the world, he closed the door to his room crying. His general was very worried about him and he knocked on the door asking, "Sir, why are you crying when the whole world is at your feet?" Alexander the Great replied, "Now when I have conquered the world, I realize that I have failed. What was the point of all the conquests? I only realize this now because before we were always on the road to our next goal. And now we no longer have anywhere to go and no one to conquer. I feel a terrible emptiness inside. I have failed." In 323 BC, on his way back to Babylon, Alexander fell ill and died at the age of 33. Just before he breathed his last breath, he called his confidant and told him, "After I die, I have 3 things I want you to do. First, I want all of the best physicians in the country to carry my casket. This is so that people can see how good the healer is. Not everything is curable. Because faced with death, they are also helpless. Therefore, always cherish your life. Second, have the soldiers spread all of my gold, silver, jewels, and ivory gems in a path on the way to the grave. Because no matter how rich you are, no amount of money or wealth can save you. And when you die, it is meaningless and can only be used to pave the road. Third, I want you to leave my hands outside the coffin, so everyone will see and know that when we leave this world, we only have 2 empty hands. This is the way we came into the world, and this is the way we leave it. Why do we need so much when we are here?" After this, Alexander drew his last breath and slowly closed his eyes. Vanity of Vanities. All is vanity. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. Please join us next Friday for our new video. The answers to this week's questions will be revealed in next week's video. Remember, every Friday, the Seeking Wisdom Challenge will be posted on YouTube and Facebook. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, or subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and we wish you a wonderful weekend full of grace and joy.